3 days ago, a popular Nigerian comedian and sensation in the comedy and entertainment industry, AY Makun, had an interview session with the renowned inspirational show host Feud. On this show, AY narrated his side of the story about the ongoing feud between himself and his senior colleague in the industry, Basketmouth. Back in 2006, the popular Nigerian comedian Basketmouth was a highly sought-after comic performer and stand-up comedian, especially for gigs like weddings, comedy shows, naming ceremonies, and many of such events. Being one of the top acts at the time, he would often have multiple shows in one day. He would attend one show and then leave to catch up with another one, leaving his clients with someone else to stand in for him. One of these persons being the popular comedian AY Makun. This was the sort of opportunity that AY got often, and he remains grateful for it to this day. Here's where things get interesting. One day, AY got a similar opportunity from Basketmouth to stand in for him at a gig. At the time, the going rate for such gigs was around 30,000 naira, which was a lot of money back then in the year 2006. This amount would afford him much needed provisions and other needs, and even pay 1 or 2 people to join him to do a skit or 2 that he could put out. But when he arrived at the venue, the clients were not happy to see him. They were expecting Basketmouth to show up and perform, not a stand-in. However, after the performance, the clients were satisfied and exchanged contacts with AY. 2 weeks went by and AY still had not received his payment. He tried to contact Basketmouth to get his money, but all he got were excuses about how the client was yet to make payment because Basketmouth failed to make an appearance. This left AY broke, starving and desperate, with no way to afford food or other basic needs. So he decided to take matters into his own hands, considering he had worked hard and delivered a great performance, and he deserved to be paid for it. Only to find out eventually, after contacting the client, that the payment had been made a long time ago, even before the event. Yet, Basketmouth did not send his share of the money to him. AY reached out to the client and at a point forwarded messages from the client to Basketmouth and vice versa, trying to get to the bottom of things. Soon, Basketmouth and the said client had a misunderstanding, leaving AY caught in the middle. AY claimed that he did what he did, not to get at Basketmouth, but he was hungry and starving at the time. He needed money to survive and fend for himself as a struggling bachelor. And so he did what he had to do, even if it meant stirring up trouble between his client and Basketmouth. In a story, AY shares details about his experience with Basketmouth and the ill treatment he received from him. He gave instances of when he attended Basketmouth's wedding, but his name was not on the guest list, but his wife's was on it, and he was not allowed to enter. His wife suggested they go home since he was not qualified to attend the wedding despite her name being on the guest list. AY went further to explain that a lot had happened that nobody knew about, and when he finally spoke about it on Twitter, he received a lot of backlashes. He revealed how his name had been removed from an event multiple times because he was scheduled to perform alongside Basketmouth. He claimed that on several occasions, whenever Basketmouth was the MC at an event, he would not even introduce him to the audience, and he would have to pick up his mic himself and do his thing. AY then goes on to talk about the difficulties he faced and how he kept silent for a long time until he could not take it anymore. He said it was so bad that he was not even allowed to enter events or perform, and he felt like he was being blacklisted in the industry. Regardless of all of this, he remained resilient and continued to pursue his passion for comedy. Despite the challenges he faced, AY Makun, popularly known as AY, never gave up on his calling. He continued to pursue every opportunity that came his way to make amends, including attending events hosted by Basketmouth with his wife, such as Basketmouth's wedding and child dedication, even when his name was deliberately omitted from the guest list. According to the father of 2, sometimes last year while at a club, he saw his senior colleague and fellow comedian Bright Okocha, and with a drink in hand, he walked up to him as a friend and greeted him, then initiated a conversation with him. AY took the opportunity to address the issue that had been bothering him for years. He reminded Basketmouth of the incident that occurred in 2006 and asked him to let go and drop the act, stating that they were now both blessed as individuals with successful careers, families, and houses. But Basketmouth's response was unexpected. He looked AY in the eye and said, "I am a beast, I don't forgive." Despite the disappointing response, AY had to feign amusement and danced away from the scene. It is evident, however, that despite the falling out for over a decade, AY Makun continued to work hard and eventually became one of the most successful comedians in Nigeria, winning numerous awards and recognition for his work.